Mike, and welcome to Retro Boost. Recently, I messed around with the new Star Fox demo, had a lot of fun with it. In that video, we started off by playing the original version of Meteo, using the Switch 2 as well, to easily swap between that and the new game during the shooting session. But that's the first time that I've used the Expansion Pass content, the new version of Virtual Console, basically, on the Switch 2, and it got me thinking about the previous versions and how they would compare. Because Virtual Console's been a thing for a while, starting on the original Wii, and then the Wii U. I think the 3DS also had it too. Never messed around with that personally. And then the Switch and Switch 2 is the current version through Nintendo's Expansion Pass thing. I'm just going to call it Virtual Console. So it got me thinking how they compare. Which generation is like the most authentic or has the best color? Has the clarity changed? What are the features like that have evolved over these generations? These are the questions we aim to answer here today, at least a lot of them, maybe not like every single question. So wanted to do some comparisons, my favorite thing. So we're going to do 3 generations of Virtual Console, as you could put it: Wii, Wii U, and Switch 2, and see how they compare using Star Fox 64, because why not? It's a very topical thing right now for me, and I love that game. Any excuse to utilize it in content, I will take. The way this will work, I can no longer get Virtual Console off of my original Wii directly, as I did a system transfer years ago from it to the Wii U. So I can't do Virtual Console games on it. You can't, like, buy them anymore, and the system was transferred, so they're not like, it's like a new system essentially. And so what I'm going to do there is the Wii U has like a Wii app, which the system has effectively transferred to. That Wii app renders internally at 480p, so I set the Wii U's own output to match, and bam, we have like a Wii emulator basically. I know that there is like a tiny scaling error that you can fix through custom firmware, but for our purposes today, it'll work. And then for the Wii U, those Virtual Console games, it's 1080p, so the system is set to match that. The Wii U then outputs to my RetroTINK 4K Pro. That's part of my newly revised console setup. Whether it's the 480p output from the Wii, with the Wii app from the Wii U, or the 1080p output for those Virtual Console games, I have set the RetroTINK 4K to match that. So it's set to 480p for the Wii footage, and then it's set to 1080p for the Wii U footage. That way it's not doing any additional scaling that would skew our comparisons to the Switch 2 version, which is going to be 4K. So we don't want to like scale up the old ones, through that device. I want to kind of see them as they are. Obviously the video itself is going to be exported to 4K, but I wanted to get the capture itself like as native as possible. That was my objective. So I've captured the Wii footage like in 480, captured the Wii U footage in 1080, and then the Switch 2 footage at its own native at 4K. So there we go. That's how we're doing it. And then Star Fox is the game of choice. Now, a little bit about the specifics of each generation. The Wii is kind of where it all started. One thing I do recall is the colors of the Wii Virtual Console, in this case specific to Star Fox, being pretty dim and like a little dull compared to the native hardware. The greens on Corneria and like the blue water really pop on the original hardware, not so much on the Virtual Console version. I think the best case for that was Solar being like really vividly orange on the original hardware and like way more dull on Wii's Virtual Console. Really interesting stuff. Jumping to the Wii U, same issue with the dim color, although the color accuracy itself is a little better. The gold rings are actually gold now, which they really aren't on the Wii version. They're coming across as more like bronze or brassy on the Wii version, whereas the Wii U, shiny gold rings. Although overall still a very dim picture, maybe even more dim. We'll see how that shakes down during comparison footage. As far as additional features go, there's like an actual restore point, so like a save state that you can make when you suspend the game, and you can also customize the controls. So you can remap the buttons of the control you're using particular to the game that you're playing, which is pretty cool. Then we get Switch 2, which carries over the save states, adding more slots though, and the button customization. I really wish they would have added macros. That would have been kind of sick if you could do like basic macros. Maybe I'm asking too much, but I felt like that should be a thing. It would be really cool to map certain button combinations to the D-pad in particular. Think about like a shortcut for doing somersaults as an example. But you can remap the buttons, which is nice. Then you have the expanded save states, but now we're also getting some interesting stuff. You can add scan lines as well. That's pretty cool, because that's something that you normally have to, if you have the original hardware, a device like the RetroTINK Family, 5X Pro, 4K, etc., you can inject HDR, you can add scan lines. It's cool that they offer that on the Switch 2 for people that want to get some of that basic retro feel going. Definitely interesting. So there's all the basics established. We're going to do a variety of comparisons. Since we're comparing 3 things at once, the first comparison is going to be just like what I normally do, the whole image sliced up, in this case, thirds. After that, we will move on to more arranged comparisons that have the picture formatted so we can look at the same areas of the screen at the same time. But first, let's see them all together, cut into thirds on one screen, and just see how some of the basic differences play out.
Message from General Pepper. Priority 1. We need your help, Star Fox. Andross has declared war. He's invaded the Lilat system and is trying to take over Corneria. Our army alone can't do the job. Hurry, Star Fox.
All right, so that dim Wii U thing. Wow, very, very dark compared to the other two. That is pretty wild when they're all side by side. I mean, you can tell when you're playing it alone, but it really is an issue when they're all being compared. The Wii U, darkest virtual console experience. Doing some research online, there is talk of like, trying to remove the dim filter as it's referred to. So it's like a known thing that bugs people. And you're playing on its own, it's okay. You can compensate a little bit by messing around with your TV settings, to an extent, but it's an issue, and it's really noticeable when they're all side by side. The original Wii's colors, are a little off compared to the two, but the brightness is at least better, closer to the Switch 2 version. The Switch 2 version is in terms of like brightness and color accuracy seems to get the closest to the original hardware, which I thought was interesting. It's very bright, so it doesn't have that issue, and the gold rings are gold and passed the gold ring test, which I can now show like kind of all at once, so you can really take that in. I mean, you can really see how the Wii's is like brass, and then the other two are golden, but the Wii U's the dark one, so really interesting stuff. Okay, now we've seen them all cut into thirds. Let's do some additional comparisons, this time formatted differently to really help accentuate the differences. Variety of examples here, some text-heavy stuff and some in-game stuff. with different settings, different locales within the opening of the game and Corneria to get some variety with the colors on screen. So check that out.
General Pepper, Priority 1. We need your help, Star Fox. Andross has declared war. He's invaded the Lilat system and is trying to take over Corneria. Our army alone can't do the job. Hurry, Star Fox.
Corneria, fourth planet of the Lilat system. The evil Andross turned this once thriving system into a wasteland of near extinction. General Pepper of the Cornerian army was successful in exiling this maniacal scientist to the barren, deserted planet Venom. 5 years later, General Pepper noticed strange activity coming from Venom. James McCloud, Pigma Dangar, and Peppy Hare of the Star Fox team were sent to investigate. Upon their arrival, Pigma betrayed the team, and James and Peppy were captured by Andross. Peppy barely escaped Venom and returned home to tell James' son, Fox, about his father's fate. A few years have passed. Andross has again invaded the Lilat system. General Pepper has turned to a new Star Fox team, headed by Fox McCloud, to save Corneria and free the Lilat system once again.
Open the wings. Check your G-diffuser system.
Falco here. I'm fine.
This is Peppy. All systems go.
Lippy here. I'm okay.
I see him up ahead. Let's rock and roll. All range mode. So this is Star Fox.
Okay, pretty cool, pretty cool. Which one do you prefer? In terms of offering the most authentic experience in terms of how the game like functions, I think I'd have to give it to the Wii version, because that was the only one that when I played it had like the slowdown, the frames struggling as the game was trying to do a lot of stuff at once. That doesn't happen on the newer Virtual Console versions. The game runs buttery smooth no matter what's going on. However, it's not the most authentic in terms of the actual color experience, as it does have way dimmer colors, and certain things are just kind of off, like the gold rings not being gold, as an example, to really point at angrily. Not angrily, it's fine. Any of them on their own are fine, although the Wii U, even on its own, still comes across as too dim. Obviously the most accessible version would be like the Switch stuff, so there you go. If you want a convenient way to mess around with a lot of Nintendo classics across different consoles, but bam. I'm not normally one for subscription-based gaming, but given the GameCube stuff specifically that you get on the Switch 2, kind of doing some math in my head, yeah, I could spend $700 to get Fire Emblem Path of Radiance and Chibi Robo, or just pay, you know, 40 bucks a year or whatever it is, and really take my time. Even if I don't get to it in 5 years, I still come out cheaper. So it's like, please come down in price, GameCube games, and then I don't have to have the subscription anymore, is kind of what I'm getting at. That'd be nice. But interesting stuff. It was fun to compare these and see the differences. I do like the Switch 2 experience so far with N64, what little I have played of it. I think it's got a good balance of sharp in-game graphics and nice colors. The sharpness of the text and the clarity of that is also quite good, whereas on the Wii version and the Wii U version, not quite as good. It's passable, but you can tell, like, that kind of stuff tends to scale better when you're using the original hardware versus these virtual console versions. Because, yeah, the other path here is the original hardware, which obviously I use more often than Virtual Console. This is the most I've probably done with Virtual Console in a long time, is this stuff right here. I did a little bit of streaming with the Wii U version of Star Fox because I wanted some footage to be able to point to for a different project that I'm working on, and that was like the most I've done up to that point. It's been a while, because I tend to use the original hardware, scaling it through my RetroTINK devices, whichever one I feel like using. So that's obviously the option. RetroTINK devices offer a lot of customization, so if you wanted to emulate the CRT experience, RetroTINK devices like the 5X Pro and the RetroTINK 4K Pro, you can inject HDR, you can do 1080 at 120 frames a second on the 4K Pro, putting on scan lines. It creates a really awesome experience for that particular flavor. Something that the Switch 2, you know, tiptoes toward, but can't offer everything like that. But it is cool that scan lines are at least an option now. That is pretty radical that that's in there. Radical, cowabunga. Some of the things I say. So there we go. Which version do you mess around with? Do you currently mess around with any particular Virtual Console stuff? Although the Wii U's was the dimmest, that's the biggest library I have. I got like all of their DS stuff and most of the Super Nintendo, all the N64 stuff, a ton of the Game Boy stuff. Pretty cool. Also awesome to have a lot of that on the Switch 2. Maybe one day we'll see Nintendo DS reappear in some capacity. It'd be kind of interesting, but who knows? Until next time, though, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.